Hello, I'm Jen, and today we're going to be going through my most anticipated releases of January 2026. The first book that I have on my list, I did discuss a little bit in my January TBR video, and that is Through the Gates of Garnet and Gold by Seanan McGuire. This is the 11th book in the Wayward Children series, and this one follows Nancy, who we met in the very first Wayward Children book, Every Heart a Doorway. And in each of these stories, we follow a child who has gone through a door to a fantasy world. They are portal fantasies like you would find in Narnia or Alice in Wonderland. And in each of these books, the children have to return from these worlds that feel more like their home than the home that they actually left. And some of these stories are set in a school for wayward children who are the kids who have come back from this fantasy world. And some of these books are set in the actual fantasy world where the kids go through a door to this world that is more of a fit for them than where they came from. And this book 11 follows Nancy in the world that she had returned from. I'm really looking forward to reading this one. I read these each year as they come out, and I may need to reread Every Heart a Doorway. I've actually reread most of these, and I think this might be a good reason to revisit Nancy's original story in the first book, Every Heart a Doorway. But the book that is releasing in January is Through the Gates of Garnet and Gold by Seanan McGuire. And I didn't mention this, but this book comes out on January the 6th. And then this brings us to January 13th, where we have two releases that I'm excited about. The first one is a science fiction thriller that is co-written by two authors. It is Detour by Jeff Rake and Rob Hart. And this one is being billed as The Martian meets the Twilight Zone. So this space crew leaves Earth, goes on a mission, and when they return to Earth, things are different, and they need to figure out what has happened while they were gone and how do they set Earth back to how it was before they left. This one is called Detour, and again, it is by Jeff Rake and Rob Hart. And then releasing on that same day, we have a new release by Vanessa Riley that is called Fire, Sword, and Sea. And the blurb on this one says the real Pirates of the Caribbean were black and women. And this one is set in the 1600s. It is a historical fiction based on the real life story of a real pirate. And this one sounds fantastic, and it sounds like it's also going to be a sapphic adventure story. So I'm very much looking forward to checking this one out. It's Fire, Sword, and Sea by Vanessa Riley. And then we have a couple of books that are releasing on January 20th. I think these are both hit and miss authors, although the first author is only hits for me, and that is Simone St. James with A Box Full of Darkness. Simone St. James stories are always ghostly, and I think she lost a lot of people with Murder Road, but I happen to love Murder Road. I think you could probably make any story ghostly, and I would be okay with it. In A Box Full of Darkness, we have siblings that are returning back to their childhood home, and I believe that their oldest brother is now haunting the home and wanting to tell them the story of what really happened there. And so I'm really looking forward to this one. I will definitely be reading this one by Simone St. James. That is A Box Full of Darkness. And then the next hit or miss author has definitely had misses for me. Her last release, Beautiful Ugly, was a catastrophic miss for me, and that is Alice Feeney. Her new release is My Husband's Wife. And actually, if you look at that title, My Husband's Wife, there is not a title that is more fitting for Alice Feeney. Those are the types of stories that she writes. In this story, a wife goes out for a run, and when she returns home, her key does not fit in the lock, and a woman answers the door that looks a lot like her, and her husband insists that the woman who answered the door is his wife. Now, I was not planning to read Alice Feeney anymore, but the reviews have got me. The reviews have put this book on my list, so I won't be purchasing this book, but I will be borrowing it from the library. This really could go either way. It could wind up being a compelling story, or it could wind up just being dumb. I will let you know how it goes. That is My Husband's Wife by Alice Feeney. On January 27th, we have a debut novel. I love reading debut novels, debut authors. This one is The House That Will Feed by Maria Tureaud. This one is another historical fiction that is a Gothic horror. It is set in the 1800s, and our main character is at a breaking point in her life. A woman comes into her life and offers to pay her to pretend to be her daughter who has passed. Her daughter was a widow who was receiving a pension, and this lady needs her daughter to still be around in order to receive this pension. But the story isn't so simple. There are hauntings and curses, and I'm really looking forward to checking out this author. This is The House Will Feed by Maria Tureaud. Another book that is releasing on January 27th is Vigil by George Saunders. I've had George Saunders on my TBR for years and years with Lincoln in the Bardo, and I have yet to read that one. Hopefully, I will jump into his works by reading Vigil. This is a short book coming in at just under 200 pages, and the premise of it reminds me of Under the Whispering Door by T.J. Klune. In Vigil, we have a CEO and oil tycoon who is passing on from this life to the next, and there is a reaper, someone who is helping him pass over to the other side. And I think that's where the similarities probably end. In Under the Whispering Door, there's a cozy tea shop with found family, and I think Vigil is going to be much more of a wild ride, but I'm really looking forward to checking that one out. That one is Vigil by George Saunders. And then another book that is also releasing on January 27th is Artifact Space by Miles Cameron. And my understanding is this book was originally published in the UK. This is the UK edition from 2021, and it is now being published in the US by Saga Press. I have heard that this was originally a self-published work that went mainstream, so I don't know if that is incorrect or if it was an indie book before Glance picked it up in the UK. I'm not sure. If you know, let me know in the comments. But this one follows a lady space crewman who is basically hiding her identity. She is running from her past and building a new one. I recently picked this up, so I'm going to read this edition. I don't know if the US edition will be much different. I'm interested in checking out this series. It sounds like a really good science fiction release, and I am trying to read more science fiction this year. That one is Artifact Space by Miles Cameron, and that is the last book that I have on my list for January 2026. Let me know if there are any more that you are excited about that are releasing. Leave them in the comments so other people can see. Let me know if you plan to read any of these. And also, while you're down there, please be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't. And I will talk to you soon.